Hello, welcome to the Ngày radio and television station. Here comes the news today. Yesterday, at Đồng Nai Customs Department, Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee Cao Tiến Dũng and Vice Chairman Nguyễn Quốc Hùng chaired the briefing meeting of financial sector units in Q3 2020. As of October the 15th, Đồng Nai state budget revenue was over 40,200 billion dong, reaching 76% of the estimate. Although there was a decrease compared to the same period in 2019, in general, the total budget revenue in the province was still high compared to many localities in the country. Regarding local budget expenditure, accumulated to October the 15th, spending more than 14,800 billion VND, reaching 63% of the estimate. Appreciating the efforts of financial agencies, Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee Nguyễn Quốc Hùng suggested that the units need more determination, continue to reform and simplify administrative procedures, review to increase domestic and export revenues. Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee Cao Tiến Dũng asked the units not to be subjective, to implement solutions to try to collect the budgets as planned. Export turnover of agricultural products will increase in the fourth quarter of 2020 when EVFTA is creating a very advantageous competitive ground for Vietnamese agricultural products in the EU. This is the third largest market for Vietnamese agricultural products. After the first 9 months of the year, due to the impact of COVID-19 epidemic, the export value to this market reached 2.83 billion USD, a slight decrease compared to 2019. However, EVFTA has just come into effect in August, creating a competitive ground which is very advantageous for Vietnamese agricultural products in the EU, and it is considered the driving force for the export turnover of agricultural products, which will really break through in the fourth quarter. According to many enterprises, due to the ownership areas of raw materials, building facilities and processing lines should benefit businesses right after EVFTA takes effect. The target from now to the end of the year, the export value to the EU will reach 3.2 to 3.5 billion USD. In the situation of storms and floods causing heavy damage for the people in the central region, the Ministry of Finance has just submitted to the Prime Minister for consideration an issuance of National Reserve goods to assist localities in overcoming consequences caused by flood. Previously, the People's Committees of the provinces Quảng Bình, Quảng Trị, Thừa Thiên Huế, Quảng Nam requested to be granted 6,000 tons of rice and some other materials and equipment to promptly overcome the consequences of natural disasters, soon stabilizing for people affected by floods and rains. The Ministry of Finance requests the People's Committees of provinces to provide rice to the right people and promptly. At the same time, the Ministry of Finance also submitted an official letter to the Prime Minister to issue a number of materials and equipment from the National Reserve to assist localities in overcoming consequences of natural disasters. Accordingly, the total value of National Reserve goods exported to the four above provinces is about 29.3 billion VND. Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin yesterday announced that the country would become the first member state of the European Union, EU, to return to a blockade to prevent and combat the COVID-19 pandemic. The new measures will become effective 6 weeks from 11 p.m. GMT on October the 21st. Irish requires the closure of all non-essential retail businesses, and restaurants and bars are only allowed to carry food or drink services home, but the country still allows schools to open. Meanwhile, for the first time since the COVID-19 outbreak in March, Germany yesterday reimposed a blockade on the Berchtesgadener land district located in the southeastern state of Bavaria due to the number of cases increase. Europe is now ahead of the US in the number of new infections per 1 million population. Nearly 30 million people in the U.S. went to the polls early in the presidential election to take place on November the 3rd, signaling a record high vote rate in 2020. More than 29.6 million U.S. voters voted in person or by mail in 44 out of 50 states in the U.S. The number of voters who have voted so far is equivalent to 21% of the total number of votes in the 2016 election. 4 years ago, the number of early voting voters was only about 5.9 million, which was only 16 days until general election day. The reason for the high early voting rate is that many voters want to avoid long queues on election day, increasing the risk of COVID-19 infection. That's all for the news today. Thank you for joining us and goodbye.